So, very good morning to all of you, and my regards to seniors. So, we'll be speaking on brolucizumab from clinical trials to real world. We've already heard Dr. Nishikant so elaborately explain about the Hawk and Harrier and the real world scenario. So, what's so special about brolucizumab? Well, it is the first single chain fragment antibody, one of its kind, to have been ever used on the human body. And this small molecular size actually enables deeper penetration, allowing faster onset of action and greater molar dosing, causing longer duration of action. So this is what we are going to check on. And we are also going to check on what actually the deep learning based OCT analysis told us from Hawk and Harrier, which was also nicely explained by Dr. Nishikant, that there is extensive decrease in intraretinal fluid following the first dose. Then it goes on to say superior SRF resolution with brolucizumab and no sawtoothing with brolucizumab as opposed to sawtoothing of SRF with aflibercept, and also more pronounced PET resolution with brolucizumab. It also goes on to say that brolucizumab treatment resulted in more stable inactive lesions in the subretinal space where the CNV localizes. So these are things that we are going to check on. So let's share our experience at Disha. We've actually injected more than 250 injections now, but this is a total of 60 eyes that we are showing today. Consecutive observational case series. A minimum follow-up of 4 weeks was necessary for inclusion in this, and range of 4 to 7 weeks. So 16 were naive and 44 were switches from other anti-VEGF injections. So if you look at the change in mean visual acuity, the switch group had improved from 660 to 624, and the naive group from 624 to 612. Both situations statistically significant improvement of vision. If you look at the central macular thickness, from 371 in the switch group, it came down to 283. And in the naive group, from 514, it came down to 301. So both situations, again, statistically significant improvement. And if you look at the whole cohort, the mean change in visual acuity as also the mean change in central macular thickness was statistically significant. Now let's go for a few cases. So this is a 70-year-old AMD patient with 11 anti-VEGF injections already received. So this is the baseline pre-brolucizumab. So you can see a lot of SRF here, the DLS is there, and this is the OCTA showing activity. So this is what happened just after 1 week of brolucizumab injection. The SRF is going down. This is what happens in a month's time with SRF almost not there, little bit of IRF here. Next, at 9 weeks, you can see the macula looks really good, and there's just a trace of SRF here in the extrafoveal region, and this is at 16 weeks. So now the intraretinal fluid is coming back. So you have evidence of actually greater molar dosing causing longer duration of action here. So this is after the second injection, which he received at 4 months, and immediately 1 week following the injection, the macula looks neat and dry. So let's move on to the next case. 72-year-old male, status post 20 anti-VEGFs of all kinds, and this is where he was picked up for brolucizumab. You can see a large, SREM here and SRF here. So this is 1 month post brolucizumab. Vision improved by a line to 624, but more importantly, no fluid here. Now let's look at what happened, subsequently. This, of course, shows decrease in intraretinal fluid following the first dose, as has been told by the deep learning-based analysis of Hawk and Harrier. 2 months, still no fluid. 3 months, still no fluid. So you have evidence of a more stable inactive lesion in the subretinal space where the CNV localizes, as has been mentioned by Hawk and Harrier. So again, you have evidence of longer duration of action because of greater molar dosing possible with brolucizumab. Next patient. This patient actually had received 21 anti-VEGF injections, and these are his OCTs at various points in time. And this is where he was picked up for brolucizumab. There's a SREM here, large PED, and a SRF. So 1 week post brolucizumab, the fluid is all gone. There's a small subretinal cleft here, but the fluid, intraretinal and subretinal fluid, and also the PED is flattened out. So you have deeper penetration, giving rise to further faster onset of action that is evident here. What happened, subsequently was this, that at 13 weeks, the SRFs just began to come back, and the intraretinal fluid was also coming back. So this is evidence of, a longer duration of action that is possible because of the greater molar dosing. Next up, after the second injection, first week after the second injection, the fluid is all gone, and you have evidence of, faster onset of action again. So next patient, a naive patient, large serous PED with SRF. At the end of 1 month, you can see the PED going down, and there's a slight improvement in vision of 1 Snellen's line. So you have more pronounced PD resolution with brolucizumab, as has been espoused by the studies. Now let's look at this unique patient. Came in May 20 with this serous PED and SRF, and he was advised aflibercept at that point in time. Started doing better, but he came back 9 weeks later with this huge serous PED and a notched kind of a PED here and SRF also. So we offered him brolucizumab, and actually he became better. And there's almost no fluid, vision also improved. So you have evidence of more pronounced speed resolution and also faster action here. Let's look at this patient, 64-year-old lady with a large SRAM. After brolucizumab, in 1 week, the SRAM is kind of thinning out, and at 6 weeks, there's almost no SRAM here. Vision has improved from 636 to 612. And look at this, at 11 weeks, there's this slight speck of him that's coming back, and so we thought this CNVM was coming back, and we injected the next dose at the 11 weeks. And this is 1 week post the second brolucizumab, 6-part vision. So really good improvements. You have evidence of more stable inactive lesion and the subretinal space where the CNV localizes. Let's look at this patient. Large subretinal bleed, and this is the autofluorescence, Optos autofluorescence, and this is a 70-year-old lady, 160 vision. So we offered her brolucizumab with recombinant TPA and C3A8. And look what happened at 2 weeks time. The hemorrhage is going down, and the structural OCT looks a lot better. And this is at 2 months post the first dose only, 624 vision, still no fluid. And she actually received an injection last week. Let's look at this patient, the last case, 72-year-old gentleman who actually had many injections. And initially I thought, okay, this is a case of a polyp, and so we did an ICG and we offered him PDT with ranibizumab, and he started doing little better. But then subsequently he went on to have 44 anti-VEGF injections, including one PDT, of course. So this is where he was picked up for brolucizumab with this fluid SRF there, still there. And as you can see, post first brolucizumab, the SRF going down. This is post second brolucizumab. Remember, this is at 3 months interval. Patient wouldn't agree to take, the brolucizumab earlier. So at 3 months, the fluid was going down and it was doing better. Second injection, still little fluid at 3 months, and he's taken the third injection, and there's slight improvement in vision also. So you have pronounced SRF resolution that is noted. So we have used in across indications, and we have had no inflammation so far in Disha. To conclude, brolucizumab appears to be effective in all forms of neovascular AMD, and you have longer disease-free intervals. And I'd like to thank you all for your kind attention.
Showing this wonderful series, and I think you have been lucky to have excellent results also on most of these patients. Yeah, can you stop sharing here? So as far as yeah, Dudani, can you stop sharing, Dudani? We'll have some discussion and then come back to you.
Sorry.
You disappeared to give some injection actually.
No.
So can you stop sharing?
Yeah.
So we did call you, Dudani, but somehow missed it. So the Babulal, out of your experience, like you said, you have experience of more than 250 eyes. Do you follow that regimen, strict regimen as a Hawk and Harrier? That is, you give loading dose and then shift to Q12, or you do a PRN kind of stuff from beginning?
Sir, it's absolutely, but we're very strict for primarily because one is the inflammation, if there is an inflammation, and secondly,
your voice is breaking up.
Yeah, network is.
Prashant, his voice is breaking up actually.
Yeah, exactly. I can't hear him.
Better you put off the video so that we can hear you.
Dr. Deb, you are supposed to put off your video so we can get your voice at least.
Yeah, Debulal, don't go away at least. So let's ask Nishikant otherwise. Nishikant, what is your belief that...
yes, sir. Is it audible, sir?
Yeah. Now, what are you asking?
So actually, sir, we follow a strict regimen of, actually, sir, we give the injection, follow up the patient within a week, and then every 4 weeks thereafter. So that's the protocol we strictly follow in Disha. And we see whether there is any increase in the OCT characteristics which necessitates a second injection. And we don't go in for the Hawk and Harrier kind of injection every month.
So that's what I was asking. It is seeing is different than injecting. So that means you do not give a loading dose.
No, sir. No, sir. Not even in naive cases.
Yeah, that was the second question. Is your experience different from in naive patients vis-a-vis non-naive patients? Have you
Uh,
compared?
yes, sir. We have compared. All of them have improved. In fact, the naive patients are doing better because maybe because these are patients who come early and they have a kind of a better visual acuity. So in naive patients, the results have been better. But in recalcitrant patients, the visual acuity results have improved somewhat. But the fluid compartment has absolutely dried up in almost all cases.
So that's what was my apprehension also, because if you take patients who have already have 30-40 injections and then you give brodusumab, the anatomical results may come, but the visual results may get compromised because of these multiple injections. Now,
Absolutely, sir.
Prashant, what is your
Yes.
take on this?
Yeah, definitely, sir. The potency about the molecule, the superiority of the molecule in fluid drying is unbeaten, unmatched, that every one of us accepts. Naturally, if we drain of or dry off the macula in a tissue which is not harmed by prolonged period of pathological process being staying there, that is what I mean in a naive case, it is going to have a better physiological outcome. And that is my experience too.
Okay, I think for short of time, Indu, if you permit, Srinivas has to go for another webinar. We will request Srinivas to present his few slides and then request him to present and then come back, please, Srinivas. Otherwise, you will be penalized.
No, sir, I'll always be there. Thank you so much, Lalit sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, Novartis, and nice to see all my senior colleagues here. So I'll start my screen share. Acha, that was a webcon event. I was surprised where did the audio come from. So I hope my screen is visible. Thank you so much. We can set the timer. So this is the disclaimer. I have no financial interest disclosures in this presentation. So we all know that according to this study, more than 5.1 injections are actually required to maintain the baseline, and more than 7.9 injections are actually required to improve the vision from the baseline to more than 15 letters, according to the study done by Halls. So if we see the ranibizumab, it is 0.66 letter gain per ranibizumab injection. So how many injections we need to get into to reach from 0.66 letter to 15? So that is why there is a need for long-term injection. That is the injection of longer durability. So here we have various injections. We all know about aflibercept, ranibizumab, bevacizumab, brolucizumab. So what makes brolucizumab interesting is about this molarity. It has relative number of injections, molecules per injection is 11.2, 13.3 as compared to the aflibercept, which is 1.0. So theoretically, it makes brolucizumab more potent. So come to the case. This is a 27-year-old woman presented to us on August 2020 with blurring of vision in the left eye. She received multiple anti-VEGF injections elsewhere, and her vision was 660 N18 on the day of presentation. So this is the OCT of the left eye. We can see there is subretinal fluid, there is a PED, there is a pachychoroid also in this, and if you see the OCTA, there is a neovascular network in this case. So the diagnosis of left eye pachychoroid neovasculopathy was done. Intravitreal ranibizumab was given in the first instance, but 1 month, 4 days, there was in fact increase in the intraretinal fluid, leave alone the settling of the subretinal fluid. So we switched to aflibercept. You can see there is a good response to aflibercept 1 month, 15 days post injections. But there was recurrence on this, and then 2 months post aflibercept, there was recurrence. And she was advised repeat aflibercept injection, but because of the financial issues, she used brolucizumab, and brolucizumab was given. And even after 2 months, there was still maintaining good vision and anatomically also doing better. So this is a 71-year-old man who presented to us with blurring of vision, diagnosed with right eye CNVM, and the second opinion was taken. He had come here for second opinion. And here you can see these are the polyps actually very nicely picked up by the OCT. And here you can also see the OCT network, that is the avascular area. FFA ICG definitely showed the polyps, and this is the FFA corresponding to this polyp. And this is the another polyp which is getting corresponded here. So started on aflibercept 3 monthly doses, PRN followed multiple doses. You can see here from 2017, she is on multiple injections. So these are the few glimpses of various injections she received per year. And the OCTA, when we did it, it appeared to be a dead tree appearance on type 1 CNVM on OCTA. And but unfortunately, she stopped responding to aflibercept. And here you can see here, there was no much response at all 2 months post aflibercept. That is when we switched from brolucizumab, and we can still see this is just 1 month 14 days, but she had come very recently. It was almost around 2.5 months and she was doing pretty good. So and another interesting thing what I find here is the FIPED, the height of the FIPED has also decreased. So when we are doing a comparative analysis of the height of the RP, the FIPED in these cases as compared to aflibercept, we see that there is a stronger resolution of the sub-RPE fluid as compared to the aflibercept. Of course, head-on trial is needed to justify any of the statements which I said. So 3.5 months, again, she developed recurrence. So according to us, she tolerated this injection roughly around 3 months to 3 months and 1 week. And again, after 3 months, we gave a repeat brolucizumab and the follow-up is awaited. This is another case where you can see the stall peak PED with a notched PED here. And this was again a case of PCV, corresponding point of sign of polyp on octa here, you can see here. And FA and ICG was done. It also showed a polyp. She was advised aflibercept before, but because of financial reasons, she opted for brolucizumab. There's another good thing about brolucizumab is they have come out with a cost-effective rate as compared to the aflibercept. And this you can see 1 month post-injection, she is really doing well. So another case, this is the interesting case because she had multiple injections right from 2014. And here you can see the multi-layered PED with type 1 CNVM. You can see the octa also showing a neovascular network. And she received brolucizumab. So she was a very curious writer and a reader. She is only with one eye, other eye is totally scarred. So when I injected brolucizumab in her, she was one of the few patients who told me that the visual acuity improvement was pretty early as compared to the earlier injection. I don't know whether it was psychologically she was saying because I said her it's a new injection, but she was pretty much sure that she had early visual recovery as compared to aflibercept, which usually used to take 2 weeks or 3 weeks in time. But anatomically also she developed pretty well, and visually she was definitely very happy. Again, in this patient, you can see it tolerated to nearly around 3 months in this case. And again, when the recurrence started, we gave her repeat injection after 3 months. So this is again after 3 months, the follow-up is awaited. This is just before the 3-month injection. So another case here, you can see there is a case of the left eye, the right eye showed PEDs with the SRF, and we did FFA and ICG in this case. And again, it showed the branching neovascular network here. You can see here, this was the case of BVN recorded on ICGA, and corresponding site of sub-RP network and the FIPED on OCT and OCTA was shown here. This is the another picture where you can see and she received multiple mixture of ranibizumab, bevacizumab, brolucizumab. But after brolucizumab, because this is on the day, and she had a very good recovery because she had stopped responding to ranibizumab. And this complete resolution, now you can see 2 months and she was still holding. So this is another last two of my cases, right eye OCT. This is the left eye OCT that showed FIPED with SHREM here with SRF and IRF. The FFA and ICG confirmed that there was a signs of polyp in the late frames. And this was corresponding the FFA to the OCT here. That is the polyp on the OCT and the FFA. This is the left eye, which also showed. And this is the case who received multiple injections of aflibercept. Again, you can see here on the day of brolucizumab, last follow-up 3 months. So this patient roughly came up to between 2 to 3 months. And this was again followed up, and we again re-injected after 3 months of follow-up. So I'll skip this last case of mine. This is another patient who was a sister of the fourth case, which I shown. She underwent again multiple surgeries, and this was the injection she received. And lastly, we had to shift her. This is the retained PFO she had because of the surgery, myopic eye. And now you can see 1 month post brolucizumab, she has around 6/36 vision in this eye. 1 month post brolucizumab, she is doing good. And 2 months again, you can see here there was pretty much a good improvement. But post 2 months follow-up, again she developed signs of recurrence. So this patient tolerated for nearly 2 months, but not 3 months. On right eye OCTA, almost my last slide, When we did the right eye OCTA, you can see the hyalinized trunk here, along with the peripheral small caliber vessel network, which shows the signs of chronicity. And fortunately, in the right eye, also she developed CNVM, but she's doing good. 1 month post brolucizumab. She had come recently, and she's post 3 months, and she's pretty much doing well in the right eye. And her vision in the right eye is 6/18. So with this, I conclude telling that in our initial case of 40-50 cases, I have seen excellent response with brolucizumab in occult CNVM, PCV, and chronic non-resolving SRF and IRF. So the maximum duration of action noted at our institute was around 3 months. So I'd like to acknowledge our fellows, Dr. Farath and Dr. Rajeshri, for picking up these cases for me. Thank you very much for the patient listening.
Thank you, Srinivas, for showing excellent pictures of response to brolucizumab. In fact, if you want to go, you can carry on. I think if you permit, all of you permit, we'll have discussion at the end, because I think more or less similar cases are being shown. And Dudani, can you please load up your presentation, because
yes,
you had loaded up and Srinivas had
sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that.
No
Thank you, Lalit sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Srinivas, try to come back if you can.
Sure, sir. I'll be there.
Let's try to restrict the number of cases. I think because Dudani, if you have 180 slides, it will be difficult. So
no, we are not. Those are not my slides. No, don't worry. Yeah, we are not showing those many.
Yeah.
So as we are aware that the visual outcomes, the disease activity, the predictability is excellent with this molecule, and we can have every 3 monthly injections in these patients. So this is one of my first cases, which I call it as a case of serendipity. He was an 80-year-old gentleman, a high myopic with a left eye CNVM, which I was treating, and the right eye was 6/6 always. So he received 1 ranibizumab and 1 brolucizumab in his left eye. So this is how his story starts in the left eye. This is the CNV here, and this is the response which we had post Paginex. And at 1 month, it's flat and dry. So he comes to me for follow-up at 2 months because he was good. We didn't inject him. I'm also not doing loading dose in these patients. So the left eye recurs, but surprisingly, the right eye, which I dilated just by chance, was showing a peripapillary CNVM, which is seen very beautifully here. Patient has absolutely no symptoms. He's 6/6. So it was an incidental finding. He was a pharmacologist doctor's father, and we definitely injected his right eye first, and we moved straight to Paginex. And this is the dramatic response at 1 week, which we had for this classic CNVM. The hemorrhage had gone and the lesion had dried up. Then we injected the left eye also, which again looked better. At 5 weeks, he was bone dry. You can see the lesion of the treatment naive eye. You can see that the lesion is almost gone. It's just partly visible. So there is no net on this high definition scan here. Maybe this light here. And that's when we gave him a second dose of his Paginex here, because there was some intraretinal fluid here, But the sad news is we lost him in the second wave of COVID, So he was doing very well, and we could let him see, for his last days of his life. This is a patient of a PED which got fatter and flatter over 8 months. This is a follow-up of 4 Paginex injections, which I have. The longest follow-up I have of maximum injections of my patient. My first patient whom I treated, she was a 64-year-old lady of an occult large PED. She had received 24 ranibizumabs, 5 aflibercepts, and we moved on to brolucizumab in 30th October, the first patient. Second injection she received a month later. Why, I will tell you. I was not planning to give a loading dose. And the third was after 2.5 months. And the fourth was after 4 months because of the second wave, which she prevented her from coming in. So this is how the story starts in 2018. You can see this serous PED here, which is visible. We injected her post-eccentrics. She flattened very well with 2 injections. It came back with a vengeance. You can see that there is, horizontal extension. There is a lot of hyperreflective foci which show activity of this lesion. So the PED gets broadened here. There's intraretinal fluid here, as you can see, with HRFs here. So this is when we gave the first brolucizumab, and you can see this is a very wide PED, looking like IPCV with all features. This is on day 1, the first time I saw the RPE coming so close, and this becoming like a cleft here. This is day one, because I was very scared of the inflammation. This was my first patient I was learning. This is 1 week post injection. She was looking very good, but she comes back very unhappy at day 15, So I was worried that maybe she's got some, reaction to the drug, but there was absolutely no inflammation, no vitreous cells, nothing. But the PED had gone up and the HRFs, as you can see, had moved here, because of the sudden flattening which we got after the first injection. So PEDs are very difficult to treat, and I think Praginex makes our job very easy in these patients, as I will show you in this case. So this is then we gave the second injection at first month because of the rebound which we had in the PED. And this is again day 3, the vision improved to 618 from 660 when she started with. This was the best improvement we had throughout all the other injections also. Then day 10, again, we had a 100 micron reduction and the vision was 618. This is the closest it comes to the this choroid here, the PED here, as you can see. At 5 weeks, she looked very good. So I said, oh, wow, let's get little greedy and delay further, So I think 3 months is the cutoff where a PED can, live with Paginex. Then it came back again with a vengeance. So I've come to my sweet spot that, maybe 2 monthly injections for a patient with occult CNVM is very important because these are very difficult nuts to crack. So we gave the injection here again. You can see the third injection was given. And again, we got a good response. She comes back at 4 months, with all this COVID business. And you can see that she's much, much better. There's a serosanguinous PED here, and we gave the 4th Paginex here. And here again, we got a very good response. Again, you can see the foveal dip also coming back. So these very high PEDs above 1000 also do respond to this miraculous drug which we are seeing in our armamentarium. What about